Effective testing is key to a successful project, yet managing and running tests manually takes time and money, so automated testing came into play with the objective of maximizing efficiency and delivering a high-quality product in a cost-effective manner. However, the process of switching from manual to automated testing is obviously not that simple. In this chapter, we'll show you how that process works and which elements are involved, including factors to consider when implementing automated regression testing, implementing automation of confirmation testing, as well as implementing automation within new feature testing. For more information, although at first, development team may think that the cost of investing in test automation is somewhat higher than the traditional techniques, in the long run, aggregately, the cost will turn down to be much lower. Looking at the graph, you can see the orange line, which represent the cost in manual testing cases, will continue to go up in a positive correlation with the time expansion. So, let's move to the first consideration, that is implementing automated tests for regression testing. Regression testing provides a great opportunity to use automation, as it refers to the type of testing that ensure developed and tested software are still appropriately performed without any unexpected side effect after modification. In developing steps to prepare to automate regression tests, a number of questions must be asked. How frequently should the test run be? How do tests share data? What preconditions are required before test execution? Each of these questions is explained more in details in the following section. Tests that are executed as often as part of the regression testing are the best candidate for automation. Automation, just like manual testing, requires a certain amount of effort to conduct so that only higher frequency tests are priorly automated. Meanwhile, the remaining low-frequency regression tests can still be tested manually. Tests often share data. These activities can occur when tests use the same records of data to execute the different application under test functionality. An example of this might be test case A, which verifies an employee's available time for vacation, while test case B refers to courses taken as part of these employees' career development goals. Each test case used the same employee information, but verify different aspects of the employees. In a manual test environment, the employee's data would typically be duplicated many times across each test case. However, for automated tests, shared data should be feasibly stored and accessed from a single source to avoid introduction of errors. Next, how about we'll walk you through the test precondition part. Most of the time, a test cannot be executed properly without setting initial condition stage. These conditions may include selecting the correct database, the test dataset, and even starting up initial values or parameters. Many of these initialization steps that are required to establish a test precondition can all be automated, allowing for a more reliable and dependable solution. As regression tests are converted to automation, these preconditions also needs to be a part of the automation process. Moving forward to the next segment, we'll go deep into which factor to consider when implementing automation of confirmation testing. Confirmation testing particularly is performed to follow a code fix that addresses unreported defects. A tester typically follows necessary steps in confirmation testing to ensure that the defects no longer exist and prevent its reproduction later. Defects have a way to reintroducing themselves into subsequent release. Therefore, automation is in need in this case to reduce repetitive execution time for confirmation testing. Do keep in mind that tracking automated confirmation tests allow for additional reports of how many times a cycle expanded in resolving these defects. Automation confirmation testing can be incorporated into standard automated regression suite or subsumed into existing automation tests. With either approach, the values of automating defects confirmation testing still holds. Along with confirmation testing, regression testing is necessary to ensure new defects have not been introduced as a side effect of the defect fix. Impact analysis may be required to determine the appropriate scope of regression testing. In general, it is easier to automate test case for new functionality rather than the existing one. Test engineer, based on their knowledge, can explain to developer and architect which factors are exactly needed to consider when implementing automation within the new feature testing. Don't worry, we'll cover this topic for you right away. As the new feature are introduced to the application under test, testers are required to develop a new test against this feature and corresponding requirement. The current test automation solution should be evaluated to confirm that it still meets the needs of new feature. This investigation includes, but does not limit to, the existing approach and testing tools used, as well as third-party development tools. Changes to the test automation solution, if any, must also be evaluated so it does not affect the performance of existing solution. And a new feature is implemented with, as an example, a different class of objective. Testware component may need to make an additions. Besides, compatibility with existing testing tools must be evaluated, or, where necessary, find an alternative solution. For example, if using a keyword-driven approaches, it is necessary to develop or new or modify the existing keywords to accommodate the new functionality. Last but not least, one needs to determine if this existing test automation solution will continue to meet current framework standard. Testers now may have to ask themselves, are implementation techniques still valid, or is a new architecture required? And can this be done by extending the current capability? In summary, this chapter introduced the process of switching from manual testing to automated testing environment. Specifically, it lists out in details the factors to consider when implementing automated regression testing, confirmation testing, and new feature testing.